Alright, so third time recording this because my mic has been messing up and I didn't have audio. We're good now. So, quick crash course on gear ratios. First things first, what does what? Alright, so on this truck specifically, I have a Cummins in it, so very high torque engine. It's very good at idling and crawling without stalling, unlike typical gas engines. There's some caveats there, like a heavy duty long block and a gas engine, you'll have some more torque and you can do the same thing. Anyways, so I've got adjustable manual transmission here. So typically any of the race transmissions are adjustable. That I think automatics might be an exception. Not all of them are adjustable, regardless for the manuals. So this means slower top speed, lower number, higher top speed. So this just means there's 6 rotations to 1 rotation of the drive shaft. So slower. And then here's your here is your differentials or your final drives. Boom and boom. So a 6-to-1 means that again there's 6 rotations to 1 rotation of the tire, and these compound. So you'd have to do the math on your actual adjusted true final drive ratio, but anyways, so that's really it. When it comes down to the fundamentals of gear ratios, that's it. So to do this, though, you might need to get like the race adjustable final drives. But besides that, it's that simple. High number means slower, low number means faster. So for crawling, I typically start at a 6-to-1. Unless I'm building like a clone, like a realistic build, then I'll do like 5/13s because that's a real life, very common ratio for rock crawling. There's numerous other ones, of course. That's just the one that came to mind. So I got 2 different trucks here. I believe, yeah. So this one's a gas with 40s, and I think it has pretty similar gear ratios. Okay, so it's a little bit faster. So, but those are 44s over here. These are 40s. So it'll actually probably be very similar. Yeah. Another thing for crawling specifically, and in general I prefer this way, but turn off your clutch assistant so that you can do this. So, you might have already done this, but some people may not know. The realistic manual isn't really realistic until you do this. Once you turn off the clutch assistant, then it doesn't act like a DCT and engage the clutch when you push the throttle. It acts like a real manual. You let out the clutch and it goes. So here I'm actually binding, and there we go. Oh, I'm gonna flip. Maybe? Yep. But I'm not touching any controls right now, as you can tell. And then, fat finger there. Then I don't know how this one will do. Oh, wrong button. So, being on 40s and a gasser should be fairly comparable. Yeah, so notice the torque on this. So it's actually this must be the 6.9 or maybe even the 7.3. Oh, alright, we bounded there on the fender. You might still make it. So the gasser, you might have to help it a little bit. But generally speaking, you don't want to spin your tires. The most traction you can have is when you're not spinning. As soon as you spin, that's less traction than you had when you weren't spinning. So, well, to an extent. If you add enough wheel speed, it will add traction. However, you lose control. And then you just flip over backwards or something. Because, I mean, as you can tell, it's not being any more successful. So, 99% of the time, slow crawl. And then the same thing for automatics. I run really low gear ratios. That way, you don't have to use all your horsepower just to get it moving. So I'll throw one in real quick just to kind of showcase. We'll do just the 3-speed race. I'm not sure how this thing's going to perform. Quick little showcase here, I guess. Gotta lock my diffs again. But yeah, like see, with that low gear ratio, I barely have to touch the throttle, and we're rolling. However, unlike the manual, it will not just idle forward. If I had a higher idle, it might. Changing the torque converter can also do that, but regardless, you'll never get the true just put it in gear and go like you do a manual. Don't get me wrong, I like my automatics for crawling. That is another thing. They do have essentially an infinite low gear because of the torque converter. It just slips. Like, I'm going to apply my brake and just slowly let off of it. And that is how you can really control your tire speed and your wheel slip. I'm sitting there feathering the brake and just keeping the throttle consistent. And by doing that, I can increase my traction because I can get rid of the spinning. But anyways, I really think, I mean, I don't know. I think that pretty much covers it. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment. I'll do my very best to answer. You can do that on YouTube, or you can go onto the Discord and ask me a question there. You can PM me on Discord, doesn't matter. And then, like, for all other aspects of driving, it's really just situation based. Like, what are you trying to do with the vehicle? Adjust your gear ratios to do whatever that vehicle is designed to do. If you're road racing and you need like a higher top speed, just adjust your final drive to get it, or adjust your gear ratios accordingly on like your adjustable transmission. That is one more thing I'll cover. Typically, like this, there's no just like rule of thumb that I'm aware of. I'm sure there might be one, but I just kind of put a gentle curve in. I did not do this torque curve, or this, not torque curve, gear ratio curve here. But just kind of imagine a connected dots here, and you just kind of want a gradual curve that flattens out towards the end in your higher gears. And I just kind of guess, and then I could be totally wrong. Let's say I just go like this, and then test it, and my top speed 65. Well, that's clearly too slow, so we just guess and check again, and repeat. Or if we shift into third, and like right here, see how those are close together? It might go like just like bog down once you get to third. So then you just cheat it back up a little bit. Just play with it, mess with it. Now that you know what the gear ratios do, maybe you already did, that's really the most important part, is knowing what they do. And then just tune accordingly. If you're going too fast, or if your gear ratios are too fast and you can't actually utilize them because you're in a lower horsepower vehicle or whatever, then just adjust your gear ratios accordingly. Or add horsepower, that's always an option. But yeah, I don't really think there's anything else I need to cover. I mean, your typical gear ratios are between 3 and 4. 3 to 1 and 4 to 1. However, there's a lot, I guess, like trucks and stuff, there'll be 410s and 444s fairly often. But besides that, you're usually between a 3 to 1 and a 4 to 1, somewhere in there. But so if you're trying to replicate real life somewhere, whatever, you know. But I think that really covers it. Again, feel free to ask any questions, because I will admit that I'm terrible at actually knowing what I need to cover. It's hard to see Beam as a beginner again. I hope this helped. But anyways, thanks for watching.